right back in with some Star Wars. I know we
Stoked. Sideshow Part 2, guys.
What do we have here? Navarro Imperial Safe House. 6th scale diorama by Hot Toys. It's posed here, of course, with some figures sold separately. You guys can see the Mandalorian. We've got a Remnant Stormtrooper, and in the back, there's yet another Stormtrooper. I love the depth on this.
I love the depth on this, and I know it's like bright red in our faces, and the security coming out, like, I want to do the voice, but I'll do a terrible job of it. But I love that they have the little security popping out with the light on.
And I love the detail of that, where the security light is popping out. There's like that kind of rust and grime.
Yeah, the dirt.
Yeah, because you can imagine the mechanism of this has been used frequently. I can imagine that this thing has been confronted by many a strange alien and or humanoid creature. Now, this is a very unique 6th scale environment that Hot Toys has created for displaying Mandalorian figures. You can RSVP to be notified for more information about this piece at sideshow.com/coming soon. But what we can tell you right now is, of course, you see a fully immersive environment for the figures. Such amazing textures and details across all of the stonework, some of the pipes, the kind of rust.
And the cracked concrete, you see so where they like, well, it's not kind of, whatever, they filled it to repair it. And then even on the side, if you look at the right side of it, there's even like graffiti on it. They even built stuff into the side of it, so it's not just a forward-facing piece, it's just an entire environment.
Giving additional perspective on something that we got to see as a set in the show, but not really explore ourselves as a full environment. But the depth of the figures in having multiple in there really adds a layer of storytelling. This is such a unique piece, and I just love seeing how you can pose your figures, because some people have individual characters and they've got their own specialized stands, but to have an environment like this really showcases not only the scale and how, out of context, if you don't see the Sideshow Con banner behind it, this could be a photo from the show.
Exactly, and that's what, again, I told you, I always look at 6 scales, through a photographer's eyes, like as a toy photographer, and this is complete. I'm looking at it through Sam's camera here, and it just looks like it's taken from a Zeebly movie.
Yeah, just gives you a really great kind of gets the creative gears going in your brain about how to pose your figures in dialogue with one another. I think they look great by themselves on the shelf, but they also look great communicating with one another, I guess, in that way.
Playing with your toys.
Yes, playing with your toys. Not in the Toy Story way that they come to life, but they're meant to be accompanying one another, not just in a collection. So we've also got another 6th scale piece by Hot Toys here. Earlier we showed you guys this bike, but now we've got a scout.
Endor.
I've got a biker scout on a speeder bike, and this is from Return of the Jedi. So you guys get that nice Endor environment base going on there with some of the cute little foliage. I mean,
the ferns.
The ferns have been done really well. Those have a little bit of flex to them, so you don't be afraid to get in there and really work on the pose of the bike. But once again, it has that dynamic figure stand that we talked about. I believe this is a new reveal for the show, and so we are excited to give you guys, again, some of that additional perspective. I really love that you can have the dynamic stand with the speeder bikes, so you can kind of give it like a full throttle. You could do a nosedive into a tree. Yeah, you could balance the figure.
Don't nosedive your toys into a tree.
Well, not really.
But again, with the base, you could plant, like when we talk about photography and setups, like you could take that into a park and just plop it in, and because of the rocks and the plants and the branches that they built into the base, it would just fit right in, and you can create an entire scene.
Nice immersive base that disguises well in photography. And of course, on the speeder bike itself, we've got a lot of great detail. We've got some of those blast marks across the front grille there, and all of the different pieces of mechanism. Lots of little intricate pieces that you can also kind of see underneath that hood piece up at the front with the control panel. There's just detail throughout this piece everywhere you look, because Hot Toys understands that collectors will be getting very hands-on with their pieces to create these awesome museum poses or the action photography poses. And of course,
they know people appreciate all those small, close attention to detail that they knock out of the park every time.
And the Biker Scout has some, some swap-out accessories and has the hands for gripping the handles. There's also a lot of great weathering detail. I know we talked about that, where the shinier kind of metallic Mando armor that we saw earlier has a lot of those blast marks and the silver char, but we've got a trooper who is on the moon of Endor, and we get a lot of dirt We see some like shoulder scuffs in a different kind of
And
fashion.
the yellowing on the boots too. You see the yellowing on the boots from being on the ground.
Yes. So even the weathering, while it is a consistent feature of Hot Toys pieces, it varies based on the materials and the character and their environments, and that is such a great thing where you don't have the sandy boots, you've got the dirty boots here for the Biker Scout. And of course there is a fully fabric tailored undersuit that allows for the posing and kind of accentuating your poses beneath the armored aspects of the trooper and the costume itself. Just another fantastic piece from Hot Toys. So you can RSVP to be notified about this piece again at sideshow.com/coming soon. Now we're gonna hop across the booth, but we're staying in the galaxy.
Yes.
Going
Shrinking down
back,
scale a little bit.
shrinking down the scale a little bit. We're going to check out some of our friends at Iron Studios. Again, back to the world of the Mandalorian. So let's start here with actually the quarter scale piece, who looks great alongside these 10th scales. But again, I love seeing different. Quarter scale Grievous is obviously much different than a 6th scale, but it's even different than a quarter scale Grogu. So this is the quarter scale Grogu statue from Iron Studios.
In all scales, Grogu. Give me Grogu in all scales.
Every single
Give me a 200
scale.
Grogu.
So cute. So this is of course that rocky base on Tython, again with the really nice symbols engraved into it. We've also got some of that nice soft foliage cast in a flexible material, so you
It's an
can.
amazing touch because you can get it to blend into any environment.
Yes. And just the really fun
Want them
kind of
to show
clear cast,
crosshair.
semi-translucent aspects of that kind of force energy curling up very gently.
On the
around
fence
him.
about this
Grogu
110th
looks
Iron
so
Studio
tranquil.
I
line.
know. I want to emulate Grogu's energy.
I think
right
I
now.
might pull the
So
trigger
much
on
zen
a few
as
of
he
them.
reaches out using the force. I just love the softness of the baby cheeks, the gentleness.
Anybody else in the
There's
comments
actually, a synthetic
gonna
hair
grab the
element on the
any
figure
of the
as well.
110th
It's kind
Iron
of difficult
Studio
to see
line?
with this nice podium that is lit, so you guys can see the figures better. But there, you gotta trust me when I say there's some little peach fuzz just on top of his head. It's just the pink tones are so gentle, so sweet.
And to see him with his eyes closed is also adorable.
And now this piece does light up. It does come with a USB cable attachment.
Probably
to light up. We do not have
not
that on display right now,
this
but
quarter
it will be ready for
scale
you guys in
piece,
time for
considering
tomorrow
I'll
during
grab
the all
the
request tour
new
with
1/6
Paul and
scale.
Guy. So if this is your request, make
The
sure
1/6
you
scale
note that down. We'll see you guys there tomorrow.
accessory
You can
pack
request to
number
have them
2.
Come back and show the light up feature on this piece. It's
It'll
just
be lit.
Get both accessory
It will be.
packs, 'cause I really want that loaf cat.
cute. This is one of those pieces. This is one of those pieces where you look at it and you kind of have a physical reaction
Yeah.
because of how cute it is.
Yeah, I can't handle it. Like I said, in any scale.
Pretty shitty video
Well, what are you
for
talking
my
about?
second foray into it,
But now,
but
now I'm upset what's going on in the background. Are we going there?
day off today
You know
and
what?
gotta
We'll make it
love
up to
me
you with
some
the fact
Hot
that we do have
Toys
a
and
10
Star
scale
Wars.
Grogu in this lineup, but let's hop up to the Dark Trooper because
That's what's upsetting me. The Dark
I
Trooper
know,
behind
and
him.
actually it's a great companion piece because it's scene accurate. But of course, we have a Dark Trooper 10th scale figure here by Iron Studios as well. We've got the kind of Imperial ship base. I like that kind of half moon design. Usually we've got unique shapes and
full circle or a square. This one's like a half moon shape that gives it that, kind of blends into the environment. And
Yeah.
I do love that. Normally I love the weathering on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of paint application weathering, but the Dark Troopers are so new.
Mm-hmm.
They're right off the assembly line. That this one is completely shiny, super clean.
I think of all characters to get a pass, the Dark Troopers are the ones who get a pass on, hey, Wyatt, like, where's the weathering? Because these things are nigh unstoppable.
Yeah.
Just unable to be damaged, except in very specific ways, as we saw. So that they have recreated the glossy textures on the black armor. We see the red eyes. I love the triangular shape of the eyes, just such a unique depiction where we've got so many different helmets with visors and round eyes, and just the triangles really do
It's very
make
menacing.
it very inhuman. And another one of the kind of inhuman things for me were those pinch point joints.
The joints are my favorite. Same
love
like K2SO had that same joint.
Exactly. Again, you know me, I'm a droid fan.
Droid fan.
Love those circular joints on K2SO, and so here they've also recreated those really unique silver rivets on the elbows, the ankles, the knees, and it is holding its blaster Just a really great kind of scale of representation. Now, all of Iron Studios pieces are so detailed. They're usually cast in polystone and, of course, hand painted. And these other characters are no exception. Let's go to the Bo-Katan Kryze 10 scale figure. We've got that nice dockyard environment base. Again, all sculpted.
Yeah, the rope looks like rope. Is that sculpted?
I believe that is sculpted. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this character, but Iron
They
Studios
even sculpt the fraying. Like, they're like, no, I'm going to make it a little more frayed with sculpting, and they're going to paint it. And the pose is so dynamic, it's so energetic.
I love the twist of her torso and just the way that she's got her guns splayed out.
Well, this reaction review video.
She's going to get them
Not going the way I like it.
This is her, she has her helmeted portrait. You get to see that really nice painted design for the night owl. She does have the sigil on her pauldrons as well. Just a really great action piece here. We do have, just slightly different base than the Dark Trooper, of course. But again, with all of that great weathering, with the Mando armor, where we see the silver aspects, because it is forged armor, the silver pieces coming up where the suit has taken damage. Again, hand painted, and they've captured the movement of her fabric, especially around the elbows. Kind of see the bunch of the fabric.
The bunch of the fabric there, around her leg, under the thigh, like, you can see all sorts of detail just from a glance. And then when you get really into it, it gets even crazier.
Yeah. So let's go over to the Mandalorian 10 scale figure as well. So you wanted Grogu in more scale.
Every scale.
Every scale. Well, how about 10?
10 scale, perfect.
Even smaller than 6th scale. So small. So sweet. So we see him here with his Beskar armor. We've also got that nice half-moon base going on there. And again, fully sculpted. He's got that shoulder cape, but that is all sculpted
as well.
And we also, you can see he's got like the whistling birds and
the whistling birds. He's holding, and this is the scene in Mandalorian season 2. So this is a very emotional scene that they're breaking out right here. And with little Grogu, with little 10 scale Grogu. But then I'm going to try not to focus on it.
Try not to cry.
I'm going to try not to cry. But again, with the bunching of the sleeves and the fabric, it's all sculpted in, and it looks so natural. They do such a great job with that.
It's just those little touches that you'd think, like, you would overlook it because that's how natural fabric moves.
Right.
You're like, oh, but they have to capture that in a static medium.
We take it for granted sometimes how difficult this is. Look at it. it looks amazing with the amount of work and the amount of artistry they do. It's amazing.
Yeah, and as someone who's I've attempted to draw clothing in 2 dimensions. In 3 dimensions, it's even more difficult. So kudos to them, and even again with those kind of the softer, dusty tones on his shoes, because he's been through so much with and for Grogu.
And it's really captured, not just
hot
in,
toys.
The clothing and everything like that, but just in the emotion of the pose.
And the little hand that Grogu is reaching out with, just a little hand. And there's so much emotion behind that helmet. I mean, again, that is I think one of the greatest strengths of the series was how well Pedro Pascal, and then just all the cues around him, his body language, the music, everything portrays such a depth of emotion
behind a mask.
Behind a mask. So that made the reveal of his face, of course, all the sweeter and more upsetting. Very sad. But another amazing piece again by Iron Studios. Yes. And then we've got the Boba Fett on throne deluxe 10th scale statue. Now this one does come with Fennec Shand. That is the deluxe aspect.
I was planning to get this guy until part 1 this morning, and they released the Fennec Shand hot toys.
Yeah, whatever. You're up in my place now.
Well, preview of it at least.
He might be the one sitting on
and I really hope that they're gonna end up coming with the head sculpt as well.
Yeah, it's so good, and that really cool clear cast on the blue with the bottle. I don't know specifically what that bottle represents or what
kind of drink is it?
Any manner of drink.
But she's like,
well, it's gonna be spotchka.
And she's like, whatever, come up to me. We'll see what happens.
One of the details that we get to see here also is that the threading and braiding through her hair with the orange streak.
Yes.
I have no idea what that is, but again, as we talked about with Rey earlier and any other Star Wars characters, Star Wars heroines are defined by their hair.
Their hair is, and hers was so tight, so intense, so, with, like I said, with the orange weaving.
So precise.
So precise. Like, that's how you knew, like, every part of her character was represented in every part of her, including, like you said, her hair.
Yeah, and they've even got some of those lines from her costume, as well as the folds in the fabric on the pants for Boba Fett, and then of course the great stone textures in that seat, which, again, when a figure comes with a base that immense and impressive.
Yeah, and then it also has like some of the rusting and the weathering and the patina. That was the word you used earlier that I absorbed. I'm like, patina.
Informational osmosis.
Informational osmosis, I got it.
Now, speaking of learning from your past, you like how I segued that? We're going to jump over to, thank you, we're going to jump over to PCS, or Premium Collectibles Studio.
I have too much to say about that. I have too.
So please do.
I just want, because I don't have any of the technical aspects, but this is by PCS, and this is, what is this? This is the last Ronin. Okay, this is a very emotional piece. You have the three brothers here. Now, this is Michelangelo. And, you know, I'd spoken about like how it's Michelangelo who usually is the kidder, the lighthearted one.
That's really
he is
cool.
so serious here. He has had to grow so much, and you see it in this piece. There's so much emotion conveyed in this piece. You have all of the weapons, the broken weapons, and of his fallen brothers. He's carrying. I mean, again, it's Michelangelo. He's carrying a katana. He's carrying a bow staff. He's got
kind of like a nightstick baton.
Nightstick baton. Even on the side. Let me get out of the way for Sam. You can see even on his, well, I guess it's his left side, right side. He's got a Raphael side. There's so much going on in this piece. Very emotional for me. I got really into this.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool about this is that you don't necessarily have to have read the comic to be impacted by this, but this is based on a comic that, I mean, I think kind of exploded after it debuted. I mean, it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, in which the brothers are killed by the grandson of Shredder. And so we get this really cool lone swordsman, wandering samurai type that, again, really not levels up, but like, you know, it takes Mikey to a new depth. Now, there are some amazing textures on this piece, especially in the hood. There's a lot of kind of texture and patterning to it. We've got the different folds of the fabric, and those, I love the sandals, I love the kind of the main tunic piece as well, because there is some motion sculpted into it.
The sweep over the leg, the raised leg, the sweep of the fabric.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. But even this base, the sewer base, I mean, remember, you know, Ninja Turtles living in the sewers, it has the ooze coming out of the bottom, the sewer water.
It does, and it's this really cool kind of, the base is what's colored beneath, but the top is kind of a clear cast, and so it catches the light, it reflects, and it looks really like it has some depth to it.
Yeah. I like his little goggles. That's just a little touch. I like those cute little goggles.
Yeah, those too. The coloration that they got on
the spirits.
On the spirits, just so beautiful as well. This was my surprise. Like, I didn't know I'd be affected by this one so much when I saw it for the first time in the studio. But that will be coming very soon, so you can RSVP to be notified about that piece when it comes out.
So cool. Very cool.
All right, so up next, we're going to take a look at some 6th scale figures.
Yes.
Speaking of spirit, I mean, what are you standing in front of? You know, that's
oh my goodness, we've got a whole range of things going on here. I'm going to start with Ser Jorah Mormont. This is the 8th season version of Jorah Mormont from Game of Thrones. Again, this is by 3.
Still have not watched an episode of Game of Thrones.
But for Game of Thrones fans, if you've got a Daenerys Targaryen already in your collection, I think this is kind of a necessity.
You have to have Ser Jorah Mormont. His journey was so important in that series, and it was so emotional that
And what a send-off at the end of the series. Now, he's got sculpted armor elements. I do love how it looks like a hammered metal.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you can see, there's some denting and natural weathering in them, but it just does look like it was forged, and you can see all the rivets in it, as well as the faux leather aspects on
They just use really small hammers to make these. I don't know.
Just really small, the 6th scale forge that they have for the 6th scale kilns. So there's some beautiful fabric elements, and there's different fabrics going on, because you can see kind of beneath his neck he's got like an undershirt black, but he's got the faux leather that is all stitched. He's got the kind of tabards around his legs. He's got a different fabric in his pants, and it looks like he has a flexible boot cover. Not entirely certain if that's sculpted or not. But again, we see splotches of mud and maybe some melted snow. And
I'd like to see what's under his boots during an unsealed reveal. I'd like to see
I hope Guy's watching so he can be taking note of all these different treads we have to watch out for coming up.
Many treads, so many
but I love that he has a very detailed hilt and the pommel of his sword. Just a really, really neat detail. going on there that has like a nice bronze. It's a black wash that really makes all of the sculpture to it pop. And the likeness is amazing.
The likeness on his face.
Sculpted hair going on there.
The facial hair, the furrowed brow, like he's so, he looks battle worn.
Yeah.
Looks very tired. Now he's making me tired. Grogu had me chilling out.
You need to get ready for battle, man.
Get ready for battle. I gotta wake up.
Gotta stay sharp like his sword. So this is from 3-0. Again, they've done some phenomenal Game of Thrones pieces. So if you have any of them in your collection, you're gonna check him out. But we're gonna turn things upside down. Sam, don't flip the camera. But we're gonna.
I just got real stressed.
Whoa! We've got the Demogorgon 6th scale figure.
What a beauty! What
so
a handsome,
cool!
What a handsome little beauty.
The face only a mother could have. This is, of course, from Stranger Things. Now, this piece does have a couple of swap-out hands. We've got like the large claws. We've got some fists, and then there is a swap-out portrait with the closed kind of tulip mouth.
Which is very cute until it opens up.
Until it opens up.
You have that living nightmare that stands before us.
Yes, and the joints on this thing are incredible. I mean, by the elbows, just all the sinew and the muscle going on in this piece. It almost looks like part of it is tree trunk. Like, I know it's such a strange, it's part amphibious, totally from the upside down. Like, we don't even really know.
The details of it.
Yeah, and all those little teeth details inside of the open mouth.
There's so many teeth. I'm further back, and I'm completely freaked out by how wet and gross and violent it looks like in there, and that really captures the true fear of that creature instills in people.
Yes, and the giant toes, the veins in the hands, or I guess the kind of tendons.
Oh, the tendons.
So stretched out, so elongated, super creepy. Love this piece. It is up for pre-order on our website right now, so you can go to sideshow.com. You can search for the Demogorgon. It is about 16 inches tall, I'd say. Again, we were talking about character heights, and most traditional 6th scale figures are about 12 inches tall.
If the person is about tower over other pieces,
And unconventional recommendation, this is, of course, based on the Stranger Things license, but if you're a gaming fan, people will know that Dead by Daylight does have the Stranger Things killers and survivors in it. And if you have the Ghostface 6th scale figure, maybe our Michael Myers, maybe our Leatherface, you can have a Dead by Daylight collection. They're like a little unofficial. We've distributed pieces that are their own original killers, but it's almost like the Super Smash Bros. Of horror with iconic licenses. So I don't know, just a little bit. Yeah, if you're like, I don't have a Stranger Things collection, but maybe you've got a Dead by Daylight collection. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Let people think about that.
And speaking of things that are dead, I'm just the queen of segues today. We got 2 6th scale figures from the Court of the Dead by 3-0. These were teased, I think, a little bit on our Court of the Dead day, but we are so excited to have these here in the studio. I mean,
I know we're both Court of the Dead fans. Well, you're
both Spirit faction?
Yeah, both Spirit faction.
Okay. So you guys can find out your faction as well by going to sideshow.com/faction quiz.
And if you already know what it is, sound off.
Sound off in the comments. I mean, we're dominating Spirit in here on
That's why I was all about the Ninja Turtles. I was like, Spirit faction.
Yeah.
They're my faction.
Of course. So I'm going to start with Malavestros down here. So Malavestros is the chronicler fool of the underworld. He is kind of everywhere and nowhere at the same time, and he's so disregarded by most of the other members of the court that they don't really pay attention to him, and that's why he gets all the information.
And he gets away with everything.
Everybody underestimates the fool. So he is holding almost what is a physicalized version of the Chronicle of the Dead. I mean, this is obviously more specific underworld tone, but if you've read that book, which is kind of the introduction in the World Bible to Court of the Dead, his voice is throughout that book. Now, for those of you who might be just joining us for your first ever Sideshow exposure, Court of the Dead is our own original dark horror fantasy property with epic characters who would traditionally seem like the bad guys in any other narrative, but they have a noble purpose to overthrow heaven and hell, who have been enslaving mortal souls for countless eons.
Exposing the great lie, and working on behalf of all of us.
Yeah, and there's a great animatic of Malavestros called One Corrupt Coin on our YouTube channel, but this is a 6th scale figure, articulated. You can see there's some movement and fun in this piece. He also has a scroll accessory, and we've got a lot of fabric costuming elements going on here.
I love the boots. Can you see these boots? These boots
with those shin guards going on all the way up
are amazing. And the ankle pivot is going to be great on this, and they're high heel, which is what I love.
And there are skulls everywhere you look on this thing. I mean, if you're looking in the ruff of his collar, They're skulls. If you're looking at these kind of baubles on his jester hood, those are skulls. I think there's even skulls on the tips, the little gold jingly bells.
Oh yeah.
There's just skulls everywhere in this, and the fabric detailing, I think 3.0 has really captured. That is one of the things that excels on Court of the Dead statues. And so you have all the detail of the premium formats now in a 6-scale posable format. That is so exciting.
Yeah.
And
then let's talk about
this guy. This guy's getting his own novel. I think it's almost ready to come out. This is Demethyle, the Reaper General. He is the exalted Reaper General, one of the original Reapers in the underworld who helped defeat the Bale Reaver hordes that almost destroyed what was the beginning of Death's rebellion and his underworld. So Demethyle is one of the fan favorite characters. He is one of the heads of the Bone faction.
And he's very armed. He's armed.
He's well armed.
He's well armed and ready to fight.
And dangerous. And again, skulls everywhere you look. I mean, I can tell you right now, each of the 3 arms on his right side are articulated.
Yeah.
I was so excited for that. That guy has a lot of arms. We've also got his sword. This looks to be Cryptmorn. I know that it passes to Mortigal at some point, so if you have the Mortigal premium format figure, you do see that squiggly sword. But squiggly sword, I know that's not the technical term for it. But one of the best things about the Reaper's armor is that the story of the underworld and the war that they are fighting is all throughout. So you'll see pictures of Reapers, you'll see humans, you'll see angels. I mean, there's even like some little reliefs of what look like naked mortals clinging to the ends of his sword.
Scrolled into everything.
Yeah, just every piece of detail tells the story of these
cool.
this war they're fighting.
Not for me.
Someday they will rise, conquer, and rule.
I can enjoy
again, the exceptional embroidery and tailoring on his many skirts.
And tailoring
and he's got that beautiful hood again with those kind of distress details, because in the underworld things aren't necessarily shiny and pretty, but
this
sometimes
is a pure
the
sideshow piece.
Looking things are
really
the most
well
heroic
tailored.
and the most beautiful because they've
wonder
been
what kind
through
of
such
body.
a struggle. So these are brand new. Very excited to have these from 3.0. You can RSVP, be notified about these pieces at sideshow.com.
That's why they're like look the way they do.
So we're back over here to PCS. We're talking at some Marvel Universe
Marvel
stuff.
time.
All right.
Get ready. We've got the Magneto 6-scale diorama Supreme Edition. This is from the Marvel mobile game Future Revolution, which is an online action RPG. I am a huge Marvel games player. I mean, not only their console features, but I have dabbled in most of their Marvel mobile titles. I've done Strike Force, I've done Contest of Champions, Realm of Champions, Avengers Academy. I have yet to do Future Revolution because I think it's pretty new.
Yeah.
But you say action, open world RPG, and I'm there.
You're sold.
Yes.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about Magneto.
Look at the detail.
The mutant master of magnetism.
By the way, anyone ever asks what superpower I want, it's never really flying, right? It's always what Magneto does, because he can do it all.
Right.
With his magnetism.
Manipulating the magnetic fields, and you guys can see the Supreme Edition does measure, I believe this is about 19.5 inches tall. The Supreme Edition comes with this exaggerated base with the semi-translucent purple force field. And again, we talked earlier about pieces that capture their own movement.
Right.
I love there is a kind of torque and twist to the purple as it is swirling. The cape really captures that nicely, almost makes a complete circle. I'm thinking
and moves with his
burst
body.
of energy.
Because it's like coming up from behind him and he's gonna fire it out his hand. You know what I mean? And then you look at the details on the suit here, like we were talking about before. It's not just smooth. There's all sorts of patterning around the neck. See, it's almost like this honeycomb patterning around his neck. It's wonderful.
And that makes pieces like the glossy helmet stand out all the more, because you get a little bit of depth and shadow with these kind of the piping, the texture. It's almost as if the suit, like different fabrics in the suit that are sculpted, like these side panels allow for more flexibility in the upward direction, and they're armored and they're padded, and so it really does tell a story of just not a straight from the comic book page, because a lot of comic book pages, as amazing as they are, the detail's pretty flat sometimes. They don't have the textured costumes, but this is based on his in-game model, of course, with that kind of rebar and rubble around the base. So this will be available for pre-order very soon, so you can stay tuned to our website for that. Again, look for Premium Collectible Studio, the Magneto 6-scale diorama Supreme Edition. All right.
We are in
XM
area right here.
XM Studios.
This is a Spider-Man and symbiote traffic jam we've got going on here. Now, I think we should first focus on the new guy in town.
The new guy in town.
This is the Carnage premium format.
Premium format.
Brand new prototype reveal. Very excited to have this here for you guys.
I can't even. There's so much to talk about this piece from every angle. It is. I want to say it in a complimentary way. It is wonderfully gross.
Yes.
Because it's Carnage.
Yeah, of course. And one of my favorite details with the symbiote here is we do have, again, those colors and the interplay between what's glossy and what's not. You've got the glossy black symbiote that really looks like it's creeping and seeping through every